We go.
Great.
For authors, filmmakers, entertainment, and all your listening needs, listen now to Talk Now Radio, where no topic is taboo. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Now Radio. This is your host, Royce the Redneck Radio Man. And joining me today is going to be Roar Shepherd. And he's going to be talking to us about how to feel better on your own. But before we get started, I want to remind everybody that you can learn more about him by going to www.feelbetteronYourOwn.com. Also, if you're not here live listening to the show, if you're at YouTube or iTunes or one of those other places, you can always join us live at www.talknowradio.com. We'd love to have you in chat. And if you want to call in and ask questions, the number is 832-632-7904. Tell your friends about us. Let them know that we just got a new Flash player installed, and it's been tested, and it does work with Mac users. So all the people that had Macintosh that was here that couldn't get the player, it's up there now. You can come back, and you can hear the shows. Roar, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show again, Royce, and it's great to be here, and I'm just happy to talk about the breathing and the exercises and help people feel better on their own. That's what we all want, right?
I think that's what most everybody wants. But I got to ask you, is that pronounced Danjan or Danjan?
Good question. It's a Korean word, and we pronounce it Danjun. But although, you know, American speakers, we say, some people hear dungeon when they hear it, but we're not going to breathe in our dungeon, but it's a Danjun.
Danjun.
Right.
That might require a little work to get it as specifically right, but I got the idea. Now, you got a 6-book set, or a book and a 6 DVD set, I think you said yesterday, out on this?
Exactly. I've got 6 DVDs and a book. It's a full comprehensive package that we sell at feelbetteronYourOwn.com. It's an amazing health program that's a collection of my 15 years of living in South Korea and doing research on how exercises and how breathing training works on making the body strong. And South Korea's got a tradition of doing this for basically 1,000 years. It's simple, it's effective, it's time proven, it's what we all need, some simple basic exercises that anyone can do at any time, at any place. It's breathing to pull in that oxygen that your body needs to get rid of pain, whatever pain it is, and inflammation. And the key thing is anyone can do it anywhere. It's so simple, it's absolutely blew my mind. So feel better on your own there. And what it is if you go to our website there, we have some simple ones that are, very cheap and very easy. Just, we call it low impact, and you can just go right in there and just start doing some simple exercises with that simple DVD. We got a little bit more advanced one called high impact. Or you want the whole package. You get all the DVDs, all the exercises, over 60 exercises, plus the breathing, and then plus a book in there that we include exactly whatever your symptom is right away. Just look up, what is my symptom? I got a neck pain. I got a knee pain. I've got a backache. You look that up and immediately we go right to that page. It's categorized perfectly by our producer, Marshall Masters, who's been with CNN for 20 years. This changed his life amazingly just by coming to one class. And yeah, you just look it up. You look up your symptom, go right to that page, and we'll tell you exactly what exercise you need. That can be done right away, and the breathing. So it's well set up for you.
It sounds like there's a lot of different breathing techniques or variations to the one technique.
There's a lot of breathing out there in the world. As you know, there's a lot of breath work that people call it, or many breathing techniques. There's the fitness techniques, and there's the variety of yoga techniques, and there's the singing techniques, and there's the martial art techniques. We bypass all that and take you to the root, to the core. So we have some breathing techniques for exercise, just sort of pushing into the abdomen. The gut is the key point. It's actually the gut that you need to breathe from, and the gut that you need to strengthen. Recently scientists said just last week that they realized the source of the emotional health of the body and the source of the actual health of our body is actually in the gut. And so depending on how strong and healthy your gut is, it'll determine your weight, your health, and your emotional state, your entire life. So, depending on how that gut is, so we have one specific method. It's how to breathe from the gut, how to keep your consciousness in the gut, how to only move the muscles of the gut and never rise above the navel area. So, I mean, I don't know how much you know about breathing, but in general...
Not more than I did before December.
So how much have you learned about breathing? Tell me what you've learned.
Okay, the thing is, I think I mentioned to you, I've been in the hospital 4 times in 2 months, starting in December, and it was with emphysema, Mycobacterium avium complex, Brachyneticus, about 3 different lung diseases going on here. None of them curable. But because of the lung condition, I naturally started looking at some stuff about breathing, and some of the same things that you're telling me is some of the same things that I've been learning about breathing from the diaphragm, for example. How much the energy you actually expand. Even when you're just simply asleep, you're constantly producing oxygen. I don't care if you're not doing diddly squat to run your body and burning it off, and you're having to constantly replace it, in other words. So, yeah, there's got to be a lot to what you're talking about, in other words.
Wow, yeah, exactly. So you've done some research on this, breathing from the diaphragm. And basically all of the symptoms you're talking about the emphysema, which is actually the skin, and you're talking about the nose. All of these are lung-based diseases. And so in the East, they look at this holistically, and they see, for example, the joints are directly connected to our organs. So all the exercises are based on, very simply, you just roll the joints. For example, if you're dealing with your lungs, I want you right now to just take your wrist right in front of you and very gently just rotate your wrist very slowly with your consciousness, and just feel it very slowly as you relax. Just relax your neck and relax your shoulders and just slowly rotate those wrists. And as you do that with your consciousness, you can start to feel your wrists, and you can start to feel if they're strong or if they're weak or how they feel. And the thing is, the origin of exercises, before I get to the breathing is actually the next step. The first thing you got to do is relax the body. So we do some very simple exercises, which is just rotating these joints. And in the East, because they have this a holistic system, this wrist area here is not just the joints. The wrist is actually connected to your lungs directly. So for you, this is the most direct thing, is dealing with your wrist, because this is your lungs. So this is strengthening our lung power, creating our breathing power. So what happened was, originally all exercises were based on just rotating joints and having your consciousness there. But what happened over time is you started doing exercise and your mind went elsewhere. So now if you go to a gym, when you exercise in a gym, you watch a television as you do the exercises, or you listen to music and you think about something else. So your mind, your consciousness is separate from your actual body now. So you don't have power anymore. We all know when your mind and body work together, you got some power there. So when your consciousness is on your wrist and you just rotate, you got some power right there. And through that, you start to feel the wrist and feel any pain there. Then you start to feel them. They start to heal and they strengthen just from the power of your consciousness becoming one there. And these wrists are your lungs, and they're also emotions as well. The lungs are connected to what we call metal energy, which is related to being too controlling, wanting to be too perfect, wanting everything to be in a perfect state, to control every situation. So for you, because it's a lung-based sickness, you got to look at whether there's something you're trying to control all the time. You're trying to have everything in a perfect situation. So the strength is that the lungs are very powerful at leadership and putting things in order, which is strong for you. On the other hand, you got to relax a little bit and not try to be perfect in every situation. And in that way, you start to have some relaxation in the body. And when you got some relaxation, then we can go down and breathe from the diaphragm. And so you got it right. The first benefits of breathing from the danjan, which we call the diaphragm's a little bit confusing. It depends where you're breathing from. The diaphragm's powerful, but we want to get that just down below the navel. Are you breathing just below the navel, or are you breathing in the entire diaphragm of the abdomen?
I would say probably the entire diaphragm.
Right.
Because I can feel it moving just under the rib cage.
Exactly. So that's very important because, we don't know anything about breathing. We're not taught it here in America. So, we're just taught to go to the gym and exercise and, do some push-ups or do some weightlifting or do some running, which is all just basically working on the chest, right? You're just working on your chest area. And it doesn't add any new oxygen to the body to breathe from the chest area. So you're just living according to, whatever natural strength you have. But whatever you can do to get that down to the diaphragm. How are you doing? You just learned some basic breathing methods online? Is that what you did?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was going to talk to the doctor about some of the group sessions they have for it, but I hadn't got around to that yet.
I see. So anything that can get that breathing down to the diaphragm, most people do yoga or they do singing or they look online for some kind of exercise to breathe a little bit below. And that pulls in 3 times more oxygen just breathing from the diaphragm. 3 times more oxygen. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I always thought the diaphragm was just between the navel and the rib cage. So you're telling me that it's not. It's below the navel.
I'm saying that this kind of original breathing, there are 3 kinds of breathing. There's the breathe from the chest, the breathe from the abdominal area, which you're talking, but you're referring to the diaphragm, which we actually call abdominal breathing, which is it's better than chest breathing. It's what yoga does, it's what Tai Chi does. It circulates energy and pulls in oxygen, so it's very important. It gets more oxygen in, and we know that more oxygen, the more you oxygenate the body, the more you can take away free radicals. And free radicals are inflammation, pain, things that shouldn't be in the body, which are stuck there, and they're causing distress to your cells, and they're coming out in the form of skin disease or chest things, or they're rising up instead of going down, basically. So anything to get more oxygen in the body is important, but to get it down, the original breath is to get it down below the navel. Have you ever seen a baby breathe?
Not that I paid strong attention to, although I got 3 boys.
I'm gonna talk to your wife, Royce. What's going on here? You didn't watch the baby breathe. So if you talk to your wife, if you ask any mother, ask any mom, and say, watch the baby breathe. Let's say that baby's breathing straight up down from its navel, right below the navel, and the exact center point of your body is below the navel. It's about 2 inches below the navel. And so that point is our exact center spot. And that's where our gut energy is, our gut instinct, our gut willpower. Animals breathe from there. If you watch any animals, and they're breathing from that spot. So it's a scent that's naturally connected with our intuition, with our clarity, with our concentration, and with a calm mind. So getting the breathing down to there, and it pulls in 7% more oxygen. So now you really become this fuel tank that's just pumping oxygen through the body. And through that, the mind becomes calmer. And as the mind becomes calmer, you're not going to create any more stress to the body. And now your mind's calm, you're not causing any more stress, and now you're just full of oxygen. And with this oxygen, you're going to start decreasing the amount of pain that's in the body.
Okay, now, what are the lungs for? Most of your breathing happens down in the diaphragm.
I mean, anatomically, this is a little bit where the East sees it a little bit differently. In the West, we just see things in terms of blood and organs and anatomical system. But in the East, have you ever had acupuncture done?
No, I've often swore I wouldn't.
Okay, you have some kind of blockage in your mind about acupuncture. It's a cool thing. It works, and there's 2 systems in the body. There's a blood system, but there's also an energy system. And let me show you that energy exists. Take your hands right in front of you. Make a fist.
Okay.
And so make a fist. And now extend your fingers all the way out as far as you can. And then make a fist again. And then extend your fingers all the way out. And then make a fist. Now do this faster, but as you do it, extend your fingers all the way out as you can. Relax your arms. Relax your shoulders. We forget to relax all the time. It's another thing that this breathing is related to. You're on the radio, just relax your shoulders. Remember to breathe. We actually forget to breathe. When you tell someone breathe, they remember, oh wow, I really want to breathe. So right now, just remember to breathe. Remember that your neck should be relaxed and your head should be relaxed and your shoulders should be relaxed. And your arms are relaxed and you come down. You're only concentrating on just opening your fingers and closing your fingers. And you just relax and just watch your fingers open and close. There's actually a school in Japan and Korea just on this exercise. It's called, just fist making. And it's because every finger in your hand is connected to an organ of the body. And which finger feels uncomfortable for you?
I'd say the one next to the pinky.
Okay, so that makes sense too because that's your lung. That's your lung right there. So if we look at each finger, the big thumb, that's your liver, and the one next to it is your heart, and the one next to it is your stomach, and the one next to it is your lung, and finally we have your kidney. And the front of your hand is the front of your body, and the back of your hand is your spine. And the whole hand represents your immune system, and it represents the brain and your nervous system. So children love to do this. They do this for kids in the East because it strengthens their brain and nervous system. And they do it for the elderly because it, again, strengthens the brain and the nervous system. So this is an amazing exercise for the entire immune system. I did this in California recently, and I had a couple that's one elderly lady, she had arthritis for 20 years, and she couldn't reach down to pick up a pencil, she told me. So I gave her this exercise to do for a few days. And she called me up 2 days later crying, roar, I can't believe it. For the first time in 20 years, I could reach down and pick up a pencil. So there's power in this exercise right here. It looks very simple, but again, you just concentrate and just expand your fingers. And as you do that, you're actually massaging every organ of your body. And the key thing is to relax and sort of let it go. Believe for a moment. Just let it go. A little bit more. Just expand, release. And now 10 times as quickly as you can. Expand, expand, expand. And stop there and slowly bring your hands together. Not all together, just slowly bring them together and feel the energy between your hands.
Kind of like tingling?
Yeah, can you feel that? That little tingling feeling there? Alright, so that's basically energy. So energy exists. That's your own energy right there. And if you want, you can actually play with that energy. You can make a ball with it. You can expand it out. So inside of us, we got an energy system and we got a blood system. So what was your original question? How do we know how it's connected?
No, what were the lungs for, in other words? I mean, can you actually bypass the lungs and just breathe from the diaphragm?
Right. So anatomically, you can't stop how the body works. So you're always breathing from the lungs. The lungs' role is to, anatomically, breathe in oxygen into the body and send that oxygen around. So you need the lungs to play that role. However, the energy system is different. The energy system energetically the body wants to be focused on the center of the body. So wherever your consciousness goes, energy goes. So when I said focus on your wrist, when you bring all the energy of your body to your wrist, you heal your wrist. And when you heal your wrist, you're healing your lungs. So if you focus all your energy into your diet, into your guts, where's that energy going to go?
I'm not sure. Where's the gut control?
Well, the gut is where energy gathers for breathing.
Okay, so
if you place all your energy into your guts, then most of the energy of the body when you breathe in bypass the lungs. Although the lungs are still operating, the energy of the body, most of it is bypassing the lungs and directly going down into your guts. So, in that sense, the gut becomes of Korea and China. They call it, in Taoism, they call breathing from the gut the elixir of immortality. If you want to live 300 years, they say there are old Chinese monks living in the mountains who are 300 years old because this is the elixir of immortality. It expands your life and it also makes you look younger. But what's the secret? You got to create this fuel tank in your guts. And by placing your consciousness there, you get energy stored there. So it's an energy tank, basically. The difference is it stores energy. When you breathe from the diaphragm, as you were explaining there, you pull the energy down, but it doesn't store anything. So if you're doing diaphragm exercise, as you're explaining now, if you're doing that for 5 minutes, then for 5 minutes you've expanded energy into the body. But if you breathe from the guts, what we call this dungeon area, then that becomes a storage tank. It's like a fuel tank. If you want to drive across the country, you need energy in your car to drive. Well, the dungeon is the place where energy is stored. So you have that energy stored there all the time. So when you feel tired, you can pull that energy in. And you've got energy that energy sends around the body to help heal the body. Very hard to explain?
No, not actually, but, yeah, I was just thinking it reminds me from what I've heard about people over in the Near East or even in the Middle East. For them, healing is not like it is here in the West. You were saying something of this just a minute ago yourself, where all we do is heal the anatomy. If you have a stomach pain in the right area, they'll yank out the appendix, for example, whereas healing over there, they work on the emotional, the spiritual, and the mental bodies as well as the anatomical body, because they say if you're not healing the whole, then you're just putting a Band-Aid on it, in other words.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. Looking at it holistically.
Hence the term whole.
Hence the term whole. We are whole, we are
whole
not
in holistic medicine. You're healing the whole thing.
Right. It's hard for people to, put down their stress. Actually the stress of the body is 80% emotions, 20% body. This is very important to know. Actually, all the pain we feel in the body comes from 80% emotions, 20% body. So in other words, 80% of your pain that you're feeling is coming from some type of emotional response in the body. That's why we go about this, and, you can go directly to the emotions, but it's not so easy to find out what the emotion is, and people don't want to touch on it so easily. So the easiest way is just to rotate the joints. Your neck is connected to your liver. So just by slowly rotating your neck, you slowly start to massage the liver. The neck feels more comfortable. What I said, the neck is not just the neck. It's connected to the liver and to the emotion anger. So as you start to rotate and massage that neck, holistically, you're relaxing your anger and you're making your mind calmer. You're making your emotion and heart calmer. And what's that going to do? That's going to reduce that 80% of pain in the body. And then the body starts to have less pain. So holistically, the joints, the basic exercises help to reduce the emotions and the pain of the body.
And a lot of this stuff could be avoided if we didn't allow stress to build up in the first place. So what I'm thinking happens is stress, taxes in a lot of energy that normally goes to running the, say like the immune system, and it can't supply energy to the immune system and to the emotional body at the same time. So when you rob from the immune to give to the other, you're open to sickness or something like that?
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, we have to basically, the reason why in the East breathing is so important, Korea has become an economic giant in a very short period of time, faster than any other country. And it's the first country to go from being a debtor nation to a creditor nation. So, and now you have household names like, iPod is not the biggest thing. It's the Samsung iPod that's the biggest thing right now. And, the Samsung Electronics and the Hyundai Industries, and they're huge right now in Korea. But all of the CEOs wake up every morning and do basic exercises in dungeon breathing for two reasons. One, to make themselves relaxed. And the second thing is to give, dungeon breathing gives you, this kind of breathing gives you three main points. One, it gives you clarity, real clarity. So if you look into a body of water and that water is really yucky and it's got a bunch of dirt in it, you can't see into the bottom of that water. But if you did some breathing and added oxygen to that water, and that water all of a sudden became very clear and transparent, and you can see into that water, then imagine that kind of clarity you have. And that clarity means that, I don't need to waste energy anymore. I know exactly the choice I want to make. I know the exact decision I want to make. We lose lots of energy because we're unsure of what decision to make, what planning to do, what direction to go. That's a lot of energy we go into. So we don't have that kind of clarity. So when you breathe, you get in that oxygen, you get in that calmness, and that calmness is to put you in the zone. Everyone says, how can I be in the zone and just be full of just concentration and make a decision right there? That's that kind of breathing clarity. Otherwise, we're out of the zone and we go into worrying about the future. We go into worrying about the past. So to get that kind of clarity, just to know right now, this is the decision I want to make. And also the kind of clarity to not worry about what others are doing. We lose so much energy. We get so much stressed by what other people say. Oh, what is that person? Why is that person acting that way? So all this stress we get from how other people act because we're not calm in ourselves. We're not sure of ourselves. So you got to get that kind of self-clarity that I'm sure of myself. I know what I want. And from moment to moment, you make the right decision. So that kind of clarity is amazing in decision making. The other thing you get is you get this energy, you get stamina, you get oxygized, and then you get your health.
Okay. Now, what I wanted to ask you about this, are you going to be having actual classes at some point for this, or are you going to stick mostly just with the book and the DVD set?
I run classes. I run them now. I'm up here in Queens and I'm up in Manhattan, so I'm running classes in Manhattan at the moment. And I'm going to actually put on my website very soon that those who want to take classes, I will be running them online for those who want to take it. So if they stay posted there, or if they just email me at nukeroar@gmail.com, then definitely we can run online classes. I mean, the big thing is this, I was away from America for 15 years. I don't know if you can understand what that feels like to be away from your country for such a long time. I love my country. I love America. It's just been a while. And I came back and America's a different place, eh? Do you know how much America's changed in 15 years, Royce?
Quite a lot. I was in it while it changed.
That's what I mean. You were in it, so you may not have noticed how much it's changed, Do you notice how much it's changed?
Oh, God, yes. I mean, like when I was a kid, the weather, just in that alone, in the winters, you could see icicles every year. Mud puddles would freeze over. Blankets would freeze on the clothesline. And nowadays, you do good to get freezing cold nights. Back then, the summers were in the 80s at the tops. Nowadays, they're up in the hundreds. People, they're more aggressive. Places of business that went up, all over the place. I mean, there's been a lot of changes.
So you're talking about the weather is changing. What's the other big significant thing that's changed in America, not just the weather?
More corporation, I would say. Been a lot more business, and there's been a lot more changes in the law.
In the law. So people overall have become...
that have become more aggressive, I would say.
More aggressive.
Yeah, less patient. I mean, look at the road rage. When you left America, was road rage an issue?
Yeah, when I left America, when was that? About 1994. And there was so much, what I felt in America, which I've always felt in America. I mean, I'm from San Francisco. It's a little bit different as well, too. But America was such a country of hope. And hope was our power. And we really believed that we were hopeful people and the future's going to be hopeful. And we really felt that we had something amazing to share for ourselves, and we can share with the world. So we're very hopeful that we had so many great talents and great things that great resources as a nation, as a people together. We had these great resources that we can share. And I come back now, that kind of hope and that kind of feeling that, wow, we really are special and we have these resources we can share. Something about that has changed or disappeared. And that was very shocking to me.
I think it changed at 9/11. A lot of it did. I mean, people's attitude, the way they outlook on life, changed drastically, I think, after that point.
After 9/11.
Yeah.
But 9/11 was a long time ago, though, eh? I mean, that happened.
I know, it had a lasting effect. I mean, that's when security started stepping up. That's when people started complaining more about the government. And, I mean, laws started changing more, started losing more privacy. And it really hasn't stopped. It's just been dominoing.
So